Now, just to tell you, this is coming from a place of I'm not really here for Rwby anymore, and this episode and the episode before it kind of proved why. So this is more episode 12, but spoilers if you didn't realize that by this point. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is, almost want to call him Lucky again. Clover died. Clover died at the end of the episode, but it meant so little to me because I barely remember it happened when I was writing down these points, because it just didn't matter. We saw, if anyone can remember back when they first saw Clover, they would say in the intro or in the cave with Crow. That's the only memorable moment that we remember from Clover. He meant nothing. There was no character development that made him mean something. He was just a Winter, but with less significance. You know what I mean? Winter at least has, oh, she's Weiss's sister. Clover had, oh, he's a lapdog like everybody else. So when he died, it was like, well, I get that it was supposed to mean like, that was Crow's friend and he really cared and all that. But also he was going to arrest him and Robin, knocked Robin out, and then was going to go arrest his nieces. So why he felt this connection with Clover made no sense. We never saw that connection that they wanted to imply they have. We really never saw it. We saw them hang out a few times because they had to, and then never again. Like, that was kind of what it was, you know what I mean? And again, it was implied that that was a thing, but we never saw it to a point where it was like, oh yeah, they're friends. It was like, oh yeah, they work well together. Plus, they couldn't have been in Atlas for that long. But even if they were in Atlas for a good solid 2 months, we never saw that progression, so it really meant nothing when Clover died. I was like, this is taking too long. Like, it was to the point where I was like, let him die faster. Like, let it be done. Because it didn't really do much, and it set up kind of a dumb plot that they're probably going to use in the future. Like, Crow's angry against Ironwood, and he's going to get his revenge, and all the things Ironwood has done. This being, like, that point of, like, Crow just is done with him is kind of stupid. I'm not going to lie. But that's just how I feel. It had a good fight scene. I liked the fight between the Aesops and Team Rwby. It was actually very choreographed well. It was the best fight scene in this entire volume, and it was interesting. It was to the point where, like, I was very hyped. It was to the point where I'm very hyped to watch the next episode because I do want to see what happens with Neo and them. Also, this is just a little bothersome thing. I wish they would call her Neo and not call her Neapolitan, because no one calls her Neapolitan. No one yet in this show, anyone has called her Neapolitan, but they just all of a sudden that's what they're calling her. That it's weird. Like, they've never heard her name be Neapolitan, so they wouldn't just call her Neapolitan. They would probably end up calling her Neo. So that's what everyone has called her so far, except for them. It's weird. Normal just like, Neapolitan. It's like, what? Why are you calling her that? That's weird. Now, that's what happened in the episode that I didn't really like, but in general, the plan Ironwood has makes no sense to anyone. Here's the thing about world building that Rwby doesn't get. You have to consider the world. You can't just be like, well, we're in Atlas now, so we're just gonna think about Atlas as a general, as someone who's making a plan to save other people. Did the relics being taken save Haven? Did the relic not being there save Beacon? No. The relics are things that Salem wants, but that has never stopped her from fucking up everybody's lives. The way Ironwood acts like, if we have the relic high in the air, Salem can't get it, and so she can't do a lot. Like, she can't do anything if she doesn't get the relic. It's like, bro, she's been fucking up towns and cities and destroying shit. It's not, the relics are a means to an end, but don't think just because she doesn't have a relic that she can't burn down Vacuo like that, because she can. And she's trying to, and low-key she will, from what we can see that she probably will. She already did to Vale. From what you're trying to do, she was trying to do it to Mantle. And another thing is, they were thinking of, well, if we save Atlas, then Mantle will just be like a casualty. And again, it's like, no, we've seen a place around Mantle that's not necessarily as connected to Mantle, but the only reason they're staying afloat is because of Atlas's military. That place that they were with John's sister, what about that place? What about the places around Mantle? What about the kingdoms in general? It's not just Atlas. I don't think they as writers don't think this through. They think that they can just be like, oh, we're just thinking about Atlas today. Like, no. If you're gonna make a plan that will affect something outside of that kingdom, then you have to weigh the effects of how it will affect people outside of that kingdom. Because sure, she can't get to that relic, but she can get to every other relic. And what will you do then? How will you fix it then? Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's just like they just don't think stuff through. Like, this is why I'm talking about of like, that's why Ironwood is acting like Rwby and their team, thinking about one specific person or one specific situation, or not. Ironwood never acts like an adult. That's why I hated his plan from day one, and I hated his whole character arc, because he never used common sense. He was supposed to be a general, fought in the war, lost his limbs, does not think of actual consequences. He thinks of stuff in the moment like a child. He doesn't think of the consequences, how it will spread, and how it will be seen or felt across the kingdoms and the whole world. He's just thinking, oh, Atlas. Because realistically, if Atlas goes in the air and they come out and they're just like, hey, there's a monster named Salem that we can't really stop, so we went up in the air just so we could escape them. And he tells everybody that, and then everybody that's on the ground that can't escape is just like, if they went up there to escape her, what are we supposed to do here on the ground? Like, how are we supposed to, you know what I mean? And another thing is, you let the people of Mantle be destroyed. You let them die, the women and children. You swore to protect them and then let them die. First of all, we don't trust you. It's hard to believe you at this point. What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to protect ourselves? We can't, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's a thought that would went through a Ozpin head for some reason. It's weird, but Ozpin, the person that's been absent from this whole series, he's the only one apparently with common sense. That's just like, hey, going through the situation and, you know, trying to understand it, maybe we shouldn't tell everyone about Salem, because some people can't protect themselves and it will freak them out. And then if, you know what I mean, let's say a defense falls or something happens, it will just freak everybody out because they know there's this impending danger that they literally can't do a thing about. So the whole episode was irritating at this point. So also, it's a weird thing of like, you notice how people who couldn't fight, like Weiss, like can't really fight, barely held her own in most battles, all of a sudden can fight really well. But people like Blake, who not necessarily can't fight, but she used to be able to fight. She used to use her other sword to genuinely fight. Can't fight anymore. Like, now she just swings around. Like, that's her whole thing. She swings around and she shoots. She doesn't fight ever. You notice that? Like, it's weird. And again, like Rwby used to battle with her scythe. Like, she used to genuinely use her scythe. Now it was like she was kind of using her scythe, but more she was just like running, basically. And Yang was always the way she was, but it's weird. It's like everybody that could fight can't fight. Everyone that can fight was not fighting at all, or was barely fighting at all. It's weird. This whole episode was just like I think they don't understand. They made a specific character direction. They made a specific character direction at the beginning of the series, and it was like the characters went one way, and then I feel like it was like season 6, I feel like. It all went volume 6. I feel like during volume 6, it all went like left. Like the character, who they were, how they fought, everything. It just went like to the left. And then it's like they're different characters now. They don't feel like the same characters. And not in a sense of like character progression, but in like Blake could fight at the beginning. Now she doesn't fight at all. She lets a Yang fight all her battles and she just swings around. Yang used to be really independent. But yeah, she used to be the brute independent of the group that cared about her sister, her family, people who loved her. And now it's like, sister what? What sister? I have no sister. Uncle who? I don't have an uncle. They don't have family. I have Blake. Blake's my only family. Blake's the only one who cares about me. The Blake that left me, the Blake who hurt me so bad and continues to fuck up in some way, I love her more than I love my family, who's always been there for me. You got Weiss. Weiss has a weird thing of like, she can fight, but she can't fight, but then she can fight. But as a character, she's kind of been the same person the entire time. You know what I mean? She kind of shows emotion more now, but she's always kind of been the Sasuke of the group. So, you know, it's fine. And you got Rwby, which Rwby used to be, you don't know. Rwby was the... That's what the problem is, actually. I just figured it out. They don't care enough about any other character but Rwby. That's what it is. I figured it out. They don't put any more time into any character as much time as they put into Rwby. Rwby has normal character progression. Everyone else has gotten this weird character progression. They're trying to push Yang and Blake together as like a couple, but then they swear that they're friends, but there's something there, but then she totally forgets about her sister Rwby and her uncle Crow, who have been with her since day one because this girl came along who she lost her arm for. The whole... Sorry I had to rant about this. This is just... I loved this show, and there are certain things I still really like about it, but some stuff I just can't get over. Maybe that's because I'm hypercritical of things, I don't know. I'll just say that Rooster Teeth's kind of going out of business, it feels like, or they're laying off people like left and right. So they've laid off a lot of their animators. A lot of their animators have just quit. So I wouldn't be surprised if Rwby is on its last leg at this point. One more thing, two more things actually. The fact that Ironwood put out a bounty on Team Rwby and people affiliated, but for some reason didn't do that with Cinder or anyone else. It's very irritating. Like, why didn't you do that sooner? Maybe they wouldn't have snuck into the city so easily if you had used some common sense there. Second, whatever happened to that weird thing that was going on with Ren? We never were explained that. Like, that was never explained why he felt the way he felt, or why he was acting weird, or why he was very non-verbal. That almost, like, went out the window real quick. Like, what was up with that? Was he feeling a certain type of way? Like, what was happening? It was never explained. Okay, I'm done. I'll see you guys later.